Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about applying for positions. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, as a software engineer, do you apply for multiple positions that you are interested in at a company at the same time? Yes, I do. I don't think I've ever had to do it in one and the same company because usually the uh, the role that I'm interested in is, well, let's just say that I always found it almost impossible to go to one of those like bigger companies and then figure out, all right, what do I want to do within that company? And then look at the job posting and see, yeah, the this team is looking for someone or that team is looking for someone. The only time I really do, I've done that once, I think, and that was because there was one position for like a application developer and one that was like DevOps, or if you're going to do different sorts of, it's not about the product development itself, it's more about where what type of role do you have within that company, if that makes sense. But for different companies, absolutely, and I will usually be very open with that when I talk to my interviewers at the different companies when I'm applying for a job. The last job was at my last job, I got a call back from. I think I applied to four. Yeah, something like that. I think I applied to four positions and I got a call back from three, and about the same time. And that basically meant that I had to juggle these three different interviews and then at the same time juggle like the code tests and like so. I love that when people tell me that they don't have time to do a code test because reasons, and I kind of go, yeah, I'm sure that's the reason why you didn't write any unit tests or didn't like make the application did a good job. I'm sure that is the case, and somehow some developers that we get are able to do so, and they also have, as I said, like they have multiple things going on, like everybody has stuff going on. So while doing that, which is where it gets really tedious, if you're unfortunate enough to get like three really big code tests, you might have to make some bets and like focus on one or the other. I was lucky in this scenario because they were like the scheduling of the things were good enough so that I had time to actually do a good job on all of the code tests, or rather give them the due credit, like the due attention that they needed. And then it moves, so things move over to the interviews and you start talking to people, and then basically after you talk to people, it's always like there's always slack time, and like so a process can take some time because it's all about scheduling and how interested are they in you and so forth and so forth. And that's why I tell people, don't don't be surprised if you don't get a call back, or if they call back like really really late, because if usually the recruitment process is a very good it's a good indicator of how well the organization works at the management level internally. I work with companies where it's literally so pointless to help them with their recruitment that it's almost embarrassing, where you can get a candidate up to the point where they pass all the checks and everything and so forth, and like everything is fine, and they still don't get the job. And the reason why? Well, because all the people who are in a hiring position, well, they're on vacation, or they're like this or that, they don't plan for anything, or they don't get back to the recruiter, so like so forth, they're wishy-washy, can't really make a decision, and so forth. Like there's so many things that can go wrong, right? And then it's scheduling problems, etc., etc. So it can take a while to get through a coding interview, uh, and so that's why I tell people, just always go broad. Like, do you have no way? I know that feels weird to some juniors who've never had a job, but it's actually to your credit. If you apply to multiple jobs, no sane employer would treat that as an indicator as, oh, you don't want to work there. because you can show. You mean some like really weird companies might go, oh well, then why if you're applying to other jobs, why I thought you wanted to work here, and you should always. All companies and all recruiters wants to feel that they want to feel special. They want to feel like this is the place that you really want to work at, and you always have to play that game, which I think is hilarious, because if you reverse it and think about, well, you're mass hiring people basically, or you're hiring a bunch of people. Why don't you just hire that one person? Why are you putting the requirement on the person on the candidate to just want to work for you? Well, because you view yourself as the power holder within the conversation, which is of course not true depending on the candidate. There are some candidates that are so good that they can spit in the air and work wherever they want, and you cannot imagine how little chance a average company has to get such a person, and how much of a difference it makes to get that person. We're talking about, if you get the right software developer in your company, they will be the 100x programmer. And these people hold all their power. It's just that you don't understand that they hold all the power. However, you still have to play the game and make them feel as if, yeah, they're special. And just very gracefully, that's where the soft skills come in. Gracefully you say that, yeah, I really want to work here with you guys and so forth, but you mean at the same time I need to, if you don't like me or there's something that doesn't really work, I have a few other options that I want to look into just in case things don't work out. And that's usually fine. You just tell them that they're very special, but you have backups, and that you tell to all of the people that you're talking to they're special and you have backups, because that's what they're going to tell you, I promise you. That's what sales is, literally. To never commit truly to anything, and but they always say that you're special. So the process will then sort of like go up until a certain point, and this is the trickiest part. That is when you get an offer from one of them, or like the timing of when do you get the offers, or do you get an offer, etc., etc. And like the slack time, that last point, that's really, really difficult, because you might have one company that you like more than another, or one role or something like that you want more than another, and the problem is that you got another offer before that, and now they want your response, and they're not going to wait forever because they need somebody. Are you going to, do you have the nerves? Are you confident? Are you going to jump on the safe thing, that like the offer that you got, or are you going to wait it out a little bit and see if you can like get a reply from the place where you really want? I mean, this is how I play it as well. That part is always difficult for me. I try to stall usually, because that is what the company, that's the logical thing to do. Stall as much as possible. And when they give you an offer, you say, oh, that sounds really, really awesome. When do you need my response? Like, don't ever, like, if you have a multi-situation going on and like there are multiple parties, try your best to not just immediately respond when they give you the first offer comes in, and just say, thank you, that's really awesome. And then just say, can I take some time to think about it? And then if they are, hopefully they will give you some time, and they say, when do you need my answer? That way you can control when you give the answer. That gives you a little bit more time to see if the others are going to place a bet, or like place a bid, because it is basically a bid. Now that there's money on the table. So what I want you to take away from this is that I always apply for multiple positions when I go to a new job. I've never not done it. Even within the same company, and it's simple because, just as a good fisherman will tell you, if you want to catch a lot of fish, you can't just have one hook in the pond. You're gonna have to put out some feelers for quite a lot of different things, and hopefully you have some options open to you, because it's a numbers game. It really is. Like you should always apply to the positions that you really want, but you should never just have this idea that, oh no, they might feel like I'm not committed to their thing or so forth if I have multiple things out there. Because the reality is, guys, that even if they are that quote unquote immature, in my opinion, you can always just tell them that they're special and the others are just backups, just in case they don't want you. You can flip it and make them feel like, oh yeah, it's about making sure that he has a job or she has a job if this doesn't turn out. And that's 99% of the time that's going to be fine. And most companies will understand that, you know, if you're on the job hunt, they're not the only thing that you're looking at. And then as long as you do a good job in the interview and so forth, this is pretty much a non-issue, because this is how business work. And I promise you, it's better for you to have more offers than too few. And then at the last stage, as I said, like, this is just a tiny tip for you. Try to be a little bit careful with being too eager on saying yes immediately. You should absolutely, I mean, if it is the thing that you really want, go for it. Like, immediately say yes, because that's just going to help you. But if you're in that space where you're waiting for offers, because that is the problem with having multiple things in the pipeline, you can't just commit immediately. You have, unless that is exactly the job that you want, you might have to delay some parts or so forth. And trust me when I say this, guys, the companies do that as well on their side. They are not, you know, a lot of companies, they are looking at multiple candidates at the same time, and they might delay answering you until they can figure out that they can get somebody else. So that game is played on both sides. It's just that we don't really talk about it. Have a great day.